Hello, my fellow chatterers, and anyone else who's popped in because you're curious or you're lost. I'm Chatty, and welcome to my channel, Chatty the Mad Chatter, where I'm chatting madly away about possibilities to be my punishment. So in June, I did not complete my TBR, which meant I needed to pull out a punishment from the bag. And it was one suggested by Bridgit, which was read an intimidating book. So I then started to think about, what do I consider an intimidating book? And as I always like to do, I go into Discord and start chatting with people and using other people's brains to help me ponder this question. So I went into a couple of Discords that I'm in quite a lot. One is MJ's Discord from the channel Reading This Life. And she suggested books known for being DNF'd, which I agree, that is quite intimidating to know that lots of other people tend not to get through this book for whatever reason, indicating there is a high chance that you are unlikely to as well. I can't think of any one of those off the top of my head, but I wanted to mention it because I hadn't thought about that before. I also want to really thank Read Fine Books, Floss from the Grape Jelly Library, Shannon's book Musings. They all came up with some really interesting ideas as well about what makes an intimidating book. So thinking about things like you have to use the dictionary a lot to try and understand what all these words you have not really come across before mean. And I particularly enjoyed the idea of a book you can't read if you're tired. So you need to be 100% concentrating to be able to follow it, which feels very intimidating at the moment because I feel like I'm constantly exhausted right now. I don't know if it's the heat or just that July is a very crazy month for me or what, but yes, at the moment I feel like I am dropping off to sleep quite a lot, very easily. Something where the subject matter is quite difficult, so there could be a triggering thing, it could have like quite a sensitive topic or be dealing with quite a big issue that can make it intimidating, and I definitely have a few options for that one in here. And something about the style as well, if it's a style where it feels really dense, or it's quite lyrical and uses, not necessarily lyrical, but more where it's overly kind of in metaphors and you've kind of got to pull apart the language to try and work out what they're trying to say. Other options that came up in some of the other channels, so I also spoke on the Shelf Space Discord as well. So I want to thank Cat DLF, Tiger Mist, Chris Loves Books, Cait Coy, Sylvia and Yoda Reads 12 for helping me ponder this question a lot as well. And one of the ones that kind of came up for some people but not for others was length. So reading a book that is really, really long, to some people that is intimidating, but to others they don't feel it's intimidating, they just feel it's more of a challenge to kind of overcome. Another thought that I hadn't considered but I think is definitely summing up kind of what intimidating is when you just keep putting a book off. So why are you continuously going, I'll read that book but not now, really not now, really not now? Why? What is stopping you from reading that book? And I do have a couple of those, and I think one of the reasons for those could be the length. So one option that I have is the second book in the Knightsbridge Quartet by Ken Follett, which is World Without End. This is upside down and very chunky. So yeah, I think I did check before I did this video, and it is 1,200 and something pages. And when I read Pillars of the Earth, there were quite a few graphically violent scenes in there, which were a little bit uncomfortable to read. So I would definitely say that this is intimidating. It's really heavy. It's very, very dense. So this is a historical fiction. It's not a fantasy, which is my usual go-to when I'm reading a massive tome. But I did enjoy, there was a lot of Pillars of the Earth that I really liked. I really liked the way all the historical details and the way the world was built up. There were certain things I felt were slightly overkill in it. But on the whole, I did really enjoy Pillars of the Earth. So I feel I will enjoy this when I get to it. I think the third one is not thought to be as good as these two, but I think this one's still supposed to be good fun. Well, maybe not fun, but like a good book. So this is a contender. This is a contender, and I have been putting it off. And I have been putting it off because it's size. Because if I am reading this book, it means I'm not reading loads of other books. So that's why I find it intimidating, because it means I have to commit to this rather than kind of dipping in and out of other ones. So it's like, okay, let's keep going. So that yes, so this is option one of intimidating. Along the same lines of intimidating, so I was hesitating whether to throw this one into the mix or not, but for some reason I just wanted to have 6. I think it's because you get 6 sides on a dice, and if no one responds to give me any ideas or feedback on this, then I will just roll a dice to make my decision. So that could be it. Is Oathbringer. Now, I wouldn't have usually said this was intimidating to me, even though it is Mahusive. It is the same size actually as the Ken Follett World Without End. So this is the 3rd book in the Brandon Sanderson's epic fantasy series, The Stormlight Archive. And if you have watched other videos on my channel, you may have seen that I have started this, that I'm rereading this book, that it's my favourite fantasy series, which is why I'd say it's not intimidating, because it is a joy. It is something I'm excited about. But me putting it in the position of an intimidating read, knowing how long it is, knowing this was one of the reasons that I failed the June TBR because it's so long, and knowing that I'm going to be doing a readathon in August and setting a TBR and needing to hit a certain amount of books to complete it, and that has to include this intimidating book this month, makes it feel intimidating. I suppose it could be viewed as a challenge, but I haven't felt like picking Oathbringer up in July. And I think it's because I don't want to be, I think it's because I've been prioritizing other books, and I've not wanted to kind of pick this one up. So if it does come up, then I'll feel that it will be like a priority, and I'll be able to focus on it and enjoy it. But it is intimidating because it's so big. Right, okay, I think we've got the point. It's big, it's intimidating. Let's not overdo it. So other options I have, people were talking about things like the writing style, like especially like in classic books, where you kind of have to zone in to kind of a way of speaking that we no longer kind of use now. It's very old-fashioned. That can be intimidating. There are classics in this house that I could read, but I still want to feel a sense of achievement by this book. I don't want to just throw anything into the mix just because then I feel like we hate reading it and not enjoying it. So all of these books that I am showing you are books that I would like to get to, but are intimidating. And I don't have a classic option on there, so I'm not going to be going down that road. Books that are dense and slow paced, I don't know. It could, some of these could have that feeling, but I really know nothing about them to like know whether or not that is a possibility. The next two I have are both books that I have spoken about before. They are from the Shelterbox BookClub. So I have The Space Between Us, which is, I think it's literary fiction rather than contemporary. If we're trying to shove it into a genre, it's by Thurati Umrigar, and it tells the story of 2 women. One is Sarah Dubash, is a well-off Parsi housewife whose opulent Bombay home is kept gleaming clean by Bhima. She has worked for the Dubash household for more than 20 years. And then Sarah is hiding behind disappointment underneath her comfortable life. And Bhima is hardened by the sacrifice that she is making. She's struggling with poverty, and something happens that draw these women together, connected by a shared emotion. So it feels like it's going to be heavy on the emotional side. I don't know all the things that they're dealing with. I feel it could be upsetting in some aspects. So that intimidates me, and I never know with these books if it's going to gel with me. Like, literary fiction is also at my comfort zone. That's another thing we discussed, like reading a book that is not your usual vibe also feels intimidating as well. And the second one is Black Mamba Boy by Nadia Mohammed. And this one, hold on, I did know what it was about and I've totally forgotten. Okay, so it's set in 1935, so it's historical fiction. And it follows Jammer, who is a 10-year-old boy, and his mother dies, and Jammer has to go and discover where his father is. So he thinks he's alive. He's been absent for most of his life. So he goes out to try and find his father whilst the Italian forces are preparing to mount a war and control parts of East Africa. So again, we've got an orphan child. It sounds like we're going to have a journey to go and find an absent father, and it's in a war setting. I don't feel this is going to be a happy story or a light-hearted story. It very much feels like it's going to be dense and heavy, which is intimidating. And another thought I hadn't come across before, but I really liked, is that how a book that is overhyped can sometimes be intimidating, because you almost feel like, what if you don't like it? What if you're the one person that doesn't like a book that everyone else likes, and you want to be part of that club? You want to be part of that, yes, let's cheer on this book, this is exciting, and then actually you're not, and you don't like the book. That could be intimidating. Also, you know, you want to read books that you're going to enjoy, so you go in with these expectations it's going to be great, and then the massive letdown of when actually it's falling short of what you were hoping it would be. And I think this can kind of link into a slightly different twist on that, which is where you have hyped something up so much you're scared to read it in case it doesn't live up to the expectation that you've given it. Like, you feel you're going to love this book because it sounds amazing, it's got all your buzzwords in, the cover's beautiful, or, you know, it just feels like it's you and the book are just going to be, you know, together forever. It's going to live on your shelf, and you're going to pick it up in those moments of just wanting to read something comforting or wanting to have that amazing story with amazing characters, and then it just doesn't hit the mark. Like, that can be intimidating, because whilst you're not reading it, you're still holding on to the dream that you're going to love it, but once you open it, it might not be true. I haven't got any of those. I suppose I have, in that I've got certain books that I'm anticipating, but I think it's more because I want to be able to give myself the time to read them and appreciate them, where they're not small children anymore, medium-sized children that are very energetic doesn't always give me the ability to just read as and when I want to. It's very much kind of pick up and put down, which is why I sometimes have several books on the go, because yes, I need to be 100% engaged in some of them, and some books I can pick up and put down more easily, so I can still get smidges of reading time in where I can. Anyway, off on tangents. This is supposed to be a short video, Charlotte. Hurry up. Yeah, I think that was everything. So yeah, so that concept, although I possibly have them, I don't think I've got any ones where I'm literally terrified about reading it in case it doesn't live up to my expectation. So that one's not going to count for me. I do have two other options, as I've obviously only just shown you 4. So one, I suppose, kind of goes back to the concept of a DNF. And I said at some point I was going to pick this book up again, but I was going to pick this book back up again. So I have paused this book. I read part 1, which is here, and then I paused it because I was frustrated. And having heard from, I was buddy reading this with Jessie from Jessie the Sleepy Koala, and Megan, who goes by Silver and Princess on Discord. And neither of them, they got a lot further than me. I think Jess has also like DNF'd and not picked it up again. But Silver and Princess read it the whole way through, but it didn't sound like it was going to suddenly get amazing and I was going to be fine with it. But it's the third one. It's the trilogy. It's the end. I do want to see how this plays out, because I'm already feeling kind of like annoyed and frustrated with the concept of the series anyway, because of how it was how I left it. I might as well see, maybe it improves. I mean, I'm really not hopeful. So I am intimidated by this, because I do feel it's not going to get better and it's going to stay where it is. So this could just be a rant read. I've put enough time and space in between me having picked it up previously. I will ensure I don't read Robin Hobb immediately before it, because Robin Hobb, you have a book hangover because she's so amazing and the books are so wonderful. So I need to have like palette cleanser books that are totally different in between. So I'll make sure I don't read it straight after Hob. But this is definitely a contender because I do feel I'm not reaching for it. I'm putting it off. I don't feel that I'm going to love it. And it makes me sad. But I do want to finish it. So it's definitely one that I do want to have read. So this is on the list. And the final one, again, it's outside my comfort zone, but the two, okay, so let me just show you what it is. So this is an absolutely beautiful book called The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting by Evanna Lynch, who is most well known for playing Luna Lovegood in the Harry Potter films. And this is her memoir of what it was like to kind of grow up and to struggle with anorexia and also find yourself within in the media spotlight to a certain extent with it as well. And this is her being able to tell her story her way. And the way she spoke about it much better. I feel like I'm absolutely butchering this. But I heard her talking about this on a program called Between the Covers, which is sort of like a celebrity book club hosted by Sarah Cox. And Evanna was on one of the episodes and she spoke about this and it sounded brilliant. So I'm keen to pick this up. But also, like I said, the subject matter in here feels like it's going to make me cry. I feel there's going to be sad bits, there's going to be soul-searching bits. I'm going to want to hug her. So it's going to be tricky at times. And also, so this is a memoir and I don't read a huge amount of memoirs, but saying that, the two memoirs I own are two books I really love, which is Unicorn by Amru Al-Qadi and I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. So I did feel very inclined to pick this one up. I really want to read it and find out Evanna Lynch's story. But at the same time, I have not been picking it up because I feel like it's going to make me cry. So here we are, the 6 books. So we have a memoir. We have the 3rd book in a fantasy trilogy. We have historical fiction. We have literary fiction. It doesn't give the date, so I'm going with literary fiction. I don't think this one is historical. We have another epic fantasy book 3. I don't know why I'm trying to hold them this way. That way is much easier. And we have another historical fiction. So we have a wide range of different genres there. Mainly some, we have a couple of dinosaurs. I have a feeling these are kind of elephanty / cows, and these are sort of cows / mice. So different sizes, different reasons for intimidating me. So which one do you want to see me reading? Come on, call out the punishment. Whichever book gets the most mentions on here, then that is the book that I will put as an extra book into my August TBR, and I have to read it in August. It will be an absolute priority, and I cannot pass my TBR without completing that book. So let me know which one of these. I'll say them again just in case. So World Without End, Oathbringer, The Space Between Us, Black Mamba Boy, A Conjuring of Light, and The Opposite of Butterfly Hunting. So you can choose based on which one you just want to see because you're curious. I've got one the wrong way around so you can't see the spine. Giving the other books an unfair advantage. There we go. Let's put that back like this. So you can choose on a book that you're just interested in and want to see me read. You can choose on which one you feel is going to be the most intimidating for me to make sure the punishment is as punishing as possible because you're all sadists. Or you could just go, well, I think that cover's interesting, so I'm going to pick that one. I mean, you can give as little or as much thought into it as possible. So let me know, what do you think I should read as my punishment? And I hope you read books that are not intimidating to you unless you feel ready to give yourself that challenge. You're in the intimidation zone and you're going to get that book read. Happy reading, everyone.